Micron stock, you only have a few hours left. Today is the big day. We have Nvidia earnings tonight, and we're going to find out if the rally in Micron, in AMD, in Nvidia, in SanDisk, in the general total stock market is going to continue, or are we going to see the AI bubble in the stock market pop? We're going to cover all the latest and the greatest news also in this video. So all I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out some good vibes for today, and let's get into it. So currently, but before that, please read the disclaimer. So currently the stock market, the S&P 500 futures are actually in the green here this morning. We did see a reversal towards the end of the day yesterday, and Micron actually ended up finishing in the green. It was aggressively red for the 1.5 hours starting the market, but if we can see 45 minutes, Micron dropped almost 7%. But then it went on a massive rally, a switcheroo, and there is a reason why we'll talk about in just a second. It went out about 11% in almost 3 hours, ended up selling off a little bit towards the end of the day, but it was similar action also for SanDisk and also AMD, similar, but not exact, right? AMD sold off a lot more aggressively, but also had a very nice recovery there. And also other stocks that are more related to the recent AI run, like Coherent, also similar action. BE, also similar action. You can see the algos worked in a similar way. And we ended up ending the day on an okay movement for the markets. We also saw the VIX ending up pretty flat. You can see yesterday it already started trading here. Yesterday, it started out aggressively towards 20. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that, or me, because the channel itself for stocks is new, but you know that the VIX towards 20 is an indication that the market might be a little bit freaked out, but we did see it pull back towards the end of the day. So it will be very interesting to see what happens here, with Nvidia earnings, which Nvidia also, the biggest stock on the market, also kind of sold off, then came back and sold off towards the end of the day. We'll see what's going to happen with Nvidia and how that is going to affect Micron. How's that going to affect Intel? How is that going to affect AMD? Because when you have a situation where the biggest company in the world and the main reason why it got to this situation is AI, right? And the potential of AI and, what we're doing with AI, then if their earnings are not plus, right, then there's a high probability that the market starts pulling back a little bit. It might not crash, right? But there could be a little bit of pullback. There could be a little freak out because Nvidia stock has done such an amazing run as well over the past few weeks. The market is anticipating the earnings to be very good. When you have a situation like that and the earnings are not very, very good, even if they're on par, a little bit above, but the CEO says, maybe next quarter is a little bit less than we expected, or something like that. Anything he says that might freak the market a little bit, the algos will trigger and we'll see a sell-off. Now, Orlando is seeing something interesting. He's like a option tape whisperer, right? He will look at the tape and he'll see all kinds of things. That's his expertise, and I love following him. He says here, interesting shift in the tape lately, especially the bigger semis, SMH, Nvidia, AMD, still seeing bullish positioning coming in, but also a lot more distribution, profit taking, and short volatility setups through straddles, strangles, and call overwriting. And honestly, it's been paying. Unless markets get hit with sharp volatility expansion, a lot of bigger money seems more focused on harvesting premium and managing exposure here than aggressively chasing the upside. Makes sense too with Nvidia earnings today or this week. It'll be interesting to see if the tape stays this way once the dust settles. This is the type of a chop Kenny G loves the most. When he's saying Kenny G, he's referring to Ken Griffin from Citadel, that they're the main option sellers, right, in the market. So any kind of volatility or choppiness, right? So if it goes up and down and up and down and up and down, right? That is profitable for Citadel because the options lose their value. We're still seeing rotations within semis, but after such a massive move since April, a smarter play, in his opinion, is to start focus on more on broadening. So a lot of people are very, very focused and very, very, pigeonholed into a few stocks because of the big rally and because of the fact that Micron, SanDisk, and AMD and these other stocks have gone up so much, there's become a big chunk of many people's portfolios. And I've actually seen quite a few tweets, I don't know if they're fake or not, of people saying, well, I've decided after the past few days that the market has pulled back a little bit to rotate out of Micron, rotate out of Nvidia, and to go into a little bit more safe haven or a little bit more towards an ETF, just to minimize the risk right now. And yes, there makes sense doing that, but you have to decide what's best for you. If you own Micron, or if you're thinking about getting into Micron here prior to Nvidia earnings or after Nvidia earnings to see what they're going to say there, there's always risk. Okay. And there's always risk in general investing, but the current situation where we are today before the earnings is a situation of uncertainty. Any earnings is uncertainty. The earnings, especially, for example, buying options before earnings report, it's a 50-50 chance. Why? Even if the earnings, again, are good, like I said, if the stock has been going up for the past few weeks, there's probability that even if the earnings are good, they beat earnings, but let's say the CEO says something for next quarter, then there could be a pullback. So you have to take that into consideration. And something that, could be putting pressure on the stock market is the fact that even with new Fed chairman coming in, Kevin Warsh, the market now sees a 0% chance of the Fed rate cuts until 2027. Even more, the Fed Watch tool is pricing in a 55% chance of the rate hike by January. So again, this is going to put pressure on the stock market if interest rates are not coming down. This affects everything. This affects the US economy. It might not affect the top dogs, right? Because how does inflation affect Micron? Well, if the AI, boom keeps going on, then money will still flow into AI from the big firms, from the big companies, and they'll continue to invest in this infrastructure, in this expansion. So it might not affect Micron, AMD, Nvidia, right, the top tech stocks, but it could affect the underlying companies on the stock market. But we know that the stock market, the S&P 500 in specific, is held up by, let's call it the top 10. Some will say the Magnificent Seven, but I'm going to put in some, let's say a few more, right? We'll say the top 10. And so this is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out over a long period of time, because I know that most of you probably are invested in the stock market. You're not just invested in only technology stocks, right? So it will be very interesting to see what happens there. And also, we got updates on that the Senate wants to stop the current conflict in Iran. The Senate advanced a resolution which will require congressional approval for continued military action against Iran. If passed, it could force Trump to withdraw U.S. troops, while an end to the war could bring relief across oil stocks and crypto. So we'll see what will happen with that going forward, and how that could potentially affect what's going on. And we did have that insane reversal yesterday, and people are saying that it is because the Japan top currency official, Katayama, said that they would take bold action on FX when needed. So giving a little bit more confidence to the market that the whole situation in Japan, their rising yield, wouldn't be an issue. And so we know that the yields, of course, in the US were the main reason why President Trump kind of did his switch there. And it will be very interesting to see how this plays out. Now, something very important for the stock market is the fact that there could be a shift soon in how earnings are reported. So I don't know if you guys know, you should know if you're investing in the stock market, but earnings are reported four times a year. Every single quarter. And the shift now is for companies to do it twice, right? And so this is a change, a semi-annual reporting. it's better for companies, less less, I don't know if you'd say less bookkeeping because they still need to bookkeep, right? But less, let's say, stress on the financial part of a company just to get the reports ready every single quarter, and they have to, it's a whole thing, right? If they have to do it only twice a year, it's less stress on the CFO, less stress on his people, and so this could shift how the stock market works, right? Because now we go quarter to quarter, we look what's happening. But if you have 6 months until you hear from a CEO, right? That's a long time, right? And that could, potentially, if the CEO has to look out not 3 months, but 6 months every single time, and you don't hear from the CEO for a long time, then this could shift how algos work, how the institutions work, and this could change everything. So it could be good, it could be bad. We're gonna have to see, but it's gonna be very interesting to see how all of this plays out for the stock market. As always, don't forget to smash the like button, and thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.